What is up? What is going on? Ooh, nice. Um. Uh. 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 What's up, you guys? What is up? City officials announced. Nope. Who's all in the chat? Make sure you guys hit the like button. Please hit the like when you guys come in. Please. Before passing go, hit the like. Just hit the thumbs up. And then you guys can remind other people as they're coming in tonight to do it. Yep. Hit that like. Should be a fun show. Should be a fun little show. A little something, something. A little something. Kathy Richardson, hit the like. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I gave you a thumbs up. Going to bed. Have a good night. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it. Just a thumbs up. Hey, man, I'm not mad at you. Thank you. Have a blessed night. Get some rest. Simply. I simply. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Hello, Mama Bear. I think Mama Bear's normal hours of operation are from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. Am I right or am I right? Act like Geno Jennings. Am I right? That's what I think. Normal hours of operation. So she said yes. See, I figured it out. I knew it. Yeah. Like 10, like 9-ish, 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So you guys, there's been a lot of talk about everything that's going on in our country with these different operations. We're not going to call them wars. We're going to call them operations. And the reason why I'm going to call it operation is because there are operations at hand that most people, including myself, haven't spoke about. But once I saw this, it reminded me. I'm like, oh yeah, duh, because I've done this stuff for a living before. So I've located underground utility lines for, I'd say a total of about 8 years before I lost my job. Thanks, Fauci and Trump and Biden. And so I know a little thing or two about utility lines, things that we need in order to survive. So one thing that they're not mentioning about this conflict operation, because in order to have utility lines, you need to do operations. You need to dig, right? You need to map out, you need to dig, you need to plan in order to place utility lines, because most utility lines are underground. So that's why I'm going to call it operation. So this operation that they've been doing is it could be classified as a operation, or maybe other people think it's more of an operation. Now, nonetheless, what I'm about to show you guys, like I said, not many people have even thought about this, But this is very concerning, especially as we've talked about grids, right? Because that's been a lot of talk, over the past couple of years and stuff. There's been talk about grids, the power grid, this grid. Most people only talk about the power grid, right? The power grid. Or the internet went down. How does the internet and power grids go down? If I had the Jeopardy music, I'd play it. But what if it was something else? What if other things was causing the quote unquote grid to go down? I know I'm losing you guys. I know I'm doing it on purpose. I'm trying to lead up to this. I'm trying to make it really exciting, dramatic, real dramatic. Because once you see this, you're gonna be like, and I haven't watched it all. I only saw like the first piece, and I'm like, yeppers, like duh. That's why it reminded me. I'm like, oh yeah, I already know that. So, buckle up. I told one of my mods today, I was like, you're gonna like this. Buckle up, prepare you. It's scary what they can do. Oh, it's very scary what they can do. So buckle up, put it on the big screen. Put it on the big screen. And let's get ready to rumble. How about it?
And subscribe to Value Team. And having said that, let's get right into it. So 750,000 of undersea cables across the world's ocean. 750,000, yes. Each mile costs 400,000 to $1.5 million, yes.
We can just stop there. 750,000 miles of cable is running across the Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean. All right. It's going to get fun.
A single transoceanic cable system can cost between $300 million to $1 billion to deploy. This is what they look like, just so you know. The cable looks like this. So you're looking at the saying, okay, how big is it? This is what they do when they go underwater. You may think this is just one cable. It's not. It's multiple cables that are within it that they're building. Then on top of that, they go on these ships that look like this. In the middle, they just drop the cable. So think about in the bottom, just cable keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. But as we get deeper, you'll realize $10 trillion every day financial transactions happen due to what? Due to these submarine cables that we have. $10 trillion of transactions that happen because these cables have historically been built, maintained by state-owned telecom companies or international consortia. So it's kind of like, hey, let's work together. You need us. We need you. We're capitalists. You're the state. You're the government. Can we figure out you need internet? We'll give it to you, but let's do business together. No problem.
No problem. Where we at, you guys? Hey, for you smart ones in the back, where do you think we're going with this? Where do you think we're going with this? It gets better. Trust me, it gets better. Like I said, y'all buckle up. Sit in your lazy boy recliner that has remote controls in it. Kick your feet up, hit that button. Make sure the back of it has a nice bubble or however you like it. All right, relaxed. So
modern shift to hyperscalers like Google, Meta, Microsoft, developing their own cable networks, have learned they need to work with different countries. But for the most part, most countries are reasonable. Yeah, we want to work with you. So then when you look at cables versus satellite internet like Starlink can connect remote areas, but cannot match the high bandwidth and the low latency of undersea fiber optics. Undersea cables are immune to weather. Satellites are susceptible to solar damage and weather interference. You will hear when we talk about different events that's happened before, have people attacked it, have people stolen cables, have people found ways with anchors to destroy this. How does China do it? How does Russia do it? Because they actually know how to. It's a very interesting way China attacks these things. Now, vulnerabilities. Cables are designed to be durable, but they are still soft targets in international waters that they could be affected by. In areas like the Strait of Hormuz, water is shallow and cables are open to accidental damage anchors. So, hey, you know what? What am I doing? Hey, drop all the anchor. What do you want to do with the anchor? I just hit a cable, pull it up, boom, you just tore one. Oh, shoot. 2 weeks of outage for internet. And it's happened before, right? Severed cables require specialized repair ships, and the process can take weeks. So this isn't like you're calling AAA for a car to come in and change your tire. That's not what this is. This is a longer process. So this is nearly impossible in an active war zone like the one we are currently in. Now, let's look at a completely different area. Iran's new threat, which what I was talking about. 3 requests they're making.
Hey, oddball, I see what you wrote. Yeah, that's a lot to deal with. I'm sorry about that. And I'm not really gonna share it, but yeah, that's a lot. I'll keep you in my prayers. Add you to the prayer list and your son. For reals.
Before going into the request, the Strait of Hormuz choke point for more than just oil, 21% of global petroleum, that's one of the things we know about, 25% of LNG, liquid natural gas, and 20 to 30% is global data traffic via undersea cables.
Look at that. In the here, I know you guys didn't see it. You guys did not see that. You see what he's saying? The Strait of Hormuz is a choke point for more than just oil. 21% of global petroleum, 25% of liquid natural gas, 20 to 30% of global data traffic.
Traffic via undersea cables. This is the part that they have figured out to say, hey, we are learning that the world needs this, and it's scaring these other countries, right? When it comes down to cable, let's take more control, because this is a control game here, right? So cables running through the strait include the AAE1, Southeast Asia, Egypt, Europe. Think about the countries. Stops in UAE, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the Falcon Network, India, Sri Lanka, Gulf countries, Sudan, and Egypt. Then you have the Gulf Bridge International Cable System,
Look at
all
this,
Gulf countries. So this is what you're looking at. Here's the Strait of Hormuz. They're coming through here. This is Iran. I believe that's also Iran. And then you have the other countries here. So they're saying, hey, you're coming through us. You got to pay up. If you don't pay up, we're capable of doing things that maybe other countries that are allies of yours are not. We're willing to make your life a living hell. Here's our demands, right? We want, not only do we want control of the ships coming through, and we want you to pay us $2 million per 60 boats a day, $2 million. That's $120 million a day is what they want. But we also want to control the cable. Why? This becomes like the Panama Canal.
Why do you think they want to control the cable? Why would anybody want to control the cable? I mean, you put the cable in our area, under the ocean, under the sea, under the bay, under the strait. Why do you think they want to control the why? Why do you think? I mean, he did say like what? 21% of is petroleum oil. I mean, that's one. The other part is like 20 to 30% of data. There's two. And here we are, clueless as all get out. He who has the most toys wins control of the world. Exactly. Cut off communications. Yeah.
To the complete opposite side of the world. But it scares the crowd. Do you really want IRGC to have the control over the cables? Do you? The world doesn't want IRGC to have, because they're not honest players. You can't really negotiate and play with them, right? So Iran could completely destroy the cables within mines, aquatic drones, and mini submarines. Total destruction would crush the international market, slow down internet speed around the world, and cripple AI data centers in the Middle East. Internet traffic would reroute, but billions of dollars would be lost in the first 72 hours. But there's a big but. Iran wants control, not destruction. They want to be able to say, hey, we want to control this, like I said earlier to you. Licensing and data tolls. Hey, licensing and data tolls. All cable operators will be required to pay licensing fee and annual renewal tolls to operate in the strait. What? Yes. Think about, for you to be technical enough to say this cable thing is bigger than we thought about, right?
It sure is.
Jurisdiction over tech companies, global technology giants, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta will have to operate under Iranian law. We dictate the law, not US, not anybody else. We dictate the law and cooperate with Iranian companies. Are you like they are now responding to Iranian companies?
Could it happen? Do you think they could get that sort of power and control? If everything like that's going through the Strait of Hormuz, do you think they could get that type of control? You bet you buy the chip.
And last but not least, monopoly on maintenance. Foreign operators will need to use Iranian firms for cable maintenance, which helps develop Iranian infrastructure and keeps the cable as a bargaining chip. Tell me this isn't brilliant. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to get away with this, but tell me this isn't brilliant. Now, think about your US. Brilliant. And they tell you this. Do you want IRGC to have control of the cables? That's a question you got to answer. You may be like, I don't care. Let them have nuclear. Let them have cables. Let them have $2 million a day. They're their own sovereign country. Shouldn't they be able to do this? Maybe that's your position. Some of you guys may be like, what are you talking about? I don't want IRGC that's going on saying death upon America to control the cables to the world. So you mean to tell me if somebody really pisses them off, they can turn off the cable like this for everybody? Yeah, they could. No, I don't want them to have that kind of control. Okay, great. So that's kind of how you make a decision where you're at. Let me continue. So the risk to India. India's sitting here, a little worried. Wait a minute. What is this all about? Why? While many nations are connected to the Hormuz cables, India is uniquely vulnerable because if they are throttled or cut off, 60% of India's total internet traffic travels from Mumbai towards Europe and the US via Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, and the Red Sea. Dang. Indian internet connections are bottlenecked in Mumbai. 15 out of 17 international submarine cables land in a single area in Mumbai, like we were talking about earlier. And we know India they are relying on their biggest customers that they're dealing with being the West. So they cannot have this taking place. What if something were to happen? Watch this. India's $250 billion IT sector relies on seamless connectivity, okay? So if latency jumps from 80 milliseconds to 200 milliseconds, the cloud-based tools and real-time coding environments used by millions of Indian engineers becomes unusable like this.
I'll check that out, Vicky. Quincy, it's videoed on my Facebook page. If you get it, minute and watch it. They came upon a Christian group in an outstanding group. The song, Nothing But the Blood of Jesus, was playing. Apparently the Holy Ghost fell upon her. She said, I want to go there. They were doing baptisms. Awesome. Awesome. I'll check it out. Thank you for letting us know.
That'll be a challenge for them. And then on top of that, cable interference would disrupt the SWIFT and banking communication needed to process these billions of dollars. In the event of a cutoff, India would lose 10 to 20 times more than the US if this were to happen. So do you not think Iran is sitting there saying, hey, India, allies with US, if we come and talk to Russia and China, and India knows we can make their life a living hell, what is India going to do? They're right in the middle. Hey, hey, US, hey, please don't push too hard, Trump. Hey, we don't have any problems with Iran. Hey, let's kind of figure it out. And by the way, Pakistan's in it as well. And guess what Pakistan is doing? Pakistan's also tied to this. Pakistan, you ever notice why is everybody going to Pakistan, Islamabad, to bring Iran, IRGC, and US to negotiate? They kind of are tied to this. If India is Pakistan, so let me wrap it up for you to kind of see what this is going on. Again, another topic. You're going to bring this up to your friends after you watch this video, and they're going to be like, oh my, what are you talking about? Yeah, of course, 750,000 miles. Most people are not even thinking about this or talking about this, except for Iran, because they know another thing for Achilles heel to the world, especially countries like India. So now, what has happened in the world before? Because what if somebody comes and attacks? Recently, in the past, we have had situations where people have stolen cable. One time, 16 people got arrested in Indonesia. They went down there. They stole a bunch of cable. They took it like, wait a minute, what is this all about? A bunch of them got arrested. It was documented, but I'll tell you some more things for us to be thinking about. Undersea cables are high value and low protection. What's the protection? Are there security guards by underwater? Can you imagine you go there to take the cable and rip it apart? There are like 7 people waiting there like that. That's not how it works, right? So if somebody really wanted to do something, they could. Targets that allow an aggressor to paralyze, what a word, an adversary's economy without firing a single shot. Can you imagine the influence and the power and leverage you have? Cables are at risk from direct sabotage as well as gray zone warfare, like deliberate anchor drags. This is China. China plays this game. They know it's like, oh, that was just an accident. We're just fishing. We threw the anchor and it cut off the cable. We're so sorry. We're so sorry. But the timing of it's a little bit suspect. You sure that was not intentional? Oh, we would never do something to impact the world economy. Like it's not like we would ever accidentally release a virus that we've known for 3 weeks is in one of our cities in Wuhan. We would shut down all our airports. Right. We would not let anybody go to other countries and stop the world economy and shut it down and lose $7 trillion. We would never drop a coronavirus like that to the world because we love the world. We're peaceful. We want this thing to continue. You don't think they would do it? You don't think they would for a second want to destroy this if it got really nasty and quietly blame somebody else like a proxy war? Example, Russia specialized in submarine capable of deep sea operations and cable sabotage. What are they learning it for? What do they want to go do down there? What are they doing? Do they want to go find gold? Do they want to go find the Titanic and find that diamond?
This is deep. And this is what's actually going on. I mean, what he's laying out is it's actually going on. It's not just like some made up stuff. It's actually happening. What he's talking about. They all know that this stuff is under the ocean and running through their countries and things like that. They know it. They absolutely know it. Real quick, you guys, hit the like button. Please hit the like button. I see like theoretically, supposedly there's like 150 some people. Hit the like button. Please hit the like. I appreciate it very much. It does help with the algorithm. Also, I have donation links pinned on Facebook and YouTube. If you'd like to help out getting places, there's some stuff coming up. August, September, would really like to get to. PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, Buy Me Coffee, Give Send Go. One of the places is New York for 9/11, 25th anniversary, and some things are planned. So would like to get there for that. Just stream that for you guys. So again, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, Buy Me Coffee, Give Send Go. Also, super chats on YouTube. Rumble rants are on Rumble, and of course, stars on Facebook.
Is that what they're trying to do? Or they're learning this because they know if they go down, they're scaring the crap out of who? It's another method of attacking the enemy, right? So suspicious cable damage on Baltic Sea might be Russia testing Europe's limits. Another example, China has made itself into a regional hub for specific data networks, and given its strategic leverage, Taiwan has reported. Why would Taiwan be reporting this? Why would China want to attack Taiwan? What percentage of all these semiconductor chips comes from Taiwan? What's the number? 80%, 85%? And they think that's their country anyways, like it's Russia and Ukraine. China thinks about Taiwan the same way. So Taiwan has reported 30 subsea cable incidents in recent years, including one in which Chinese vessels severed cables and cut communication for months. Cut communications for months? Yeah. 30 of them? Yeah. 30 cases? Yeah. It's pretty interesting. Satellites are not a viable alternative right now. They're not. Only 3%. Some are even saying less than 3%. Let's say 1% is satellites, right? In April, the Bipartisan Strategic Subsea Cables Act was introduced to Congress to strengthen cable infrastructure. But how are you going to do it? Just defensive? It's the only true way to do it is defensive. No alternatives. You mean to tell me right now America has no alternatives on how to protect the cables?
None.
We don't have no. So what's defensive? Well, you ever hear the saying 94% of the ocean has not been, looked at, and we have not searched all of it. If 94% of the ocean has not been searched, how much security do you think we have? How capable? Even the most robust military in the world, what kind of security can you have to protect the oceans and all the cables we have below? Even we're not capable fully of doing that, right?
And it takes a while.
So now when you go to the next one, here's some stories for you. Past major cable disruptions included 2008 Mediterranean cable cuts. Within a single week, 3 major submarine cables were severed near the coast of Alexandria, Egypt. Internet capacity ready in Egypt plummeted. How much? 70%. So imagine internet stops today in America. What happens?
Y'all gonna freak
India
out.
lost over 50% of its bandwidth to Europe and the US. So let me get this straight. Mediterranean cable 3 incidents. Egypt is impacted 70% and India lost 50% of its bandwidth. It did. 2011, this was tied to an earthquake. So earthquake could happen, and that can also mess up the cables. A 9.0 earthquake in 2011 off the coast of Japan simultaneously snapped multiple trans-Pacific cable systems. Repairs took months and a whole fleet of ships. Months, about 3 months. How long? 3 months. Can you wait 3 months? Can most economies wait 3 months? 2022 volcanic eruption of the Tonga volcano triggered an underwater landslide, severed the sole subsea link to Tonga, causing a total internet blackout 4 weeks, total blackout 4 weeks. And in 2024, Red Sea anchor drag, commercial vessel Rubamar abandoned after attack by Houthis. So they just kind of left it. Like, what are you guys doing? They left it. Houthis attacked, dragging anchor sever 3 major cables. So that ship stays out there. The anchor is just dragging, boom. Approximately 25% of all data traffic moving between Asia and the Middle East and Europe was disrupted. Repairs took weeks because of active conflict zones. All right. How are you feeling?
See, Thomas, this is Patrick Bet David. Patrick Bet David. That's who this is.
Feeling right now? I actually want you to ask, what's your feeling? What are you thinking about right now? Are you saying, well, that's not a big deal? Or are you saying,
I had to resort to
holy this is bad. How is America gonna, and so how do we negotiate? So here's how negotiation works. Whenever you go and sell, you're trying to sell your company and somebody's buying your company, okay? Depending on who the buyer is, both parties have a leverage. This company that's selling, they have these three things that are their leverage that this company wants. This company that's selling has these two leverage that this company wants. It could be money is cheap right now, but they have other options and you're kind of desperate to sell. They know. But you know that this company that's trying to buy you is trying to get into Tennessee, Texas, and Florida, and they're not right now, and you are the biggest in Texas, Tennessee, and Florida. So you have the leverage. So how is this leverage going to be used? Then the other part is, what if this player is a reckless player? What if he's okay if he loses the entire company? What if this player doesn't really want to sell the company? What's your leverage here? What if Iran is a reckless player and is willing to do anything to harm anybody as long as it gets its own control? Then what do you do? And how do you negotiate with them? So then do you sit there and say, let's try to do a ceasefire and let's do a deal with them because this is an honest player long term. How do you handle that? How would you handle that? Knowing all this intel that you have here. This is what's going on behind closed doors where both parties are lobbying. Some people are saying this is the exact reason why we have to get rid of IRGC. This is the exact reason why that country needs to be like some of the Gulf states that Saudi's at least working with us. Qatar is at least working with us. Some of these other countries are willing to work with us. UAE, they're kind of working with us. How about Iran? Well, these guys are not. These guys are saying death upon America. These guys are bombing UAE. These guys are hitting Qatar. These guys are hitting other places. So folks are saying, look, if this is the case and they want to play like this, we got to move fast and get rid of these guys and definitely not give control to them. So your thoughts when you're seeing something like this, you know, I'm curious. And I know you guys are going to comment below and you guys are going to have your own debate while you're going through it. So if you got value out of this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, specifically the 51% of you who consume the content and you haven't subscribed yet. Again, it means the world to us. If you do so, we are this close to 10 million subscribers. We love to have your support on this journey to 10 million. And if you enjoyed this video and you're thinking, I've never heard anybody talk about this, there's another choke point in the world that nobody is talking about. Specifically, China doesn't want anybody to talk about it. If you've not seen that video, click here to watch it. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Crazy stuff, you guys. Communications, gas, oil, everything running under the ocean. Fiber optics, which is huge. Communications, like this stuff, like everything that's going on. We don't. Y'all think you own your homes and all this type of stuff? We don't own nothing. We don't own nothing. We're just here. We're just here to make other people rich. And yeah, it is something that the left has said. And the left is not, I don't think they're completely wrong. The only thing that the only thing that the left is wrong about is them saying that we can't do it. Like they look at individuals, oh, you know, you're still always going to be the one, you know, the 99%. That's the only thing they're wrong about. But even with that said, it kind of starts to look more and more like that. Just to be honest. And the other thing is that they say that we can't do nothing, you know. But this stuff is real because, and again, you guys have to remember and think about this. And this includes America. This absolutely includes America. And just because we're Americans and we live here, I don't think we should always be like rah, 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 sticking our chest out and thinking we're the biggest fish in the sea and the big, you know, the biggest, the baddest, the strongest, all this type of jazz, because it is pride. And after all, it is just a country, right? Like for us believers, we don't even really belong to this world. It's like it's just a temporary spot. And we put all these investments and our energy into like our land, right? We think is our land. And the people at play in it, all the big shots. I mean, if you're talking about elitists and globalists and Illuminati and the powers that be, we're their pawns. At the end of the day, we're their pawns. And it really does seem like the further we go down this road where we're going, the less opportunity there is for, yes, the capitalism isn't really an option anymore. Like us to really make it. And that's why you're seeing people have 3 and 4 or 5 jobs, 2 people in a household, the tradition, how it should be, a man is providing for the family, is now turning into that person having 2 jobs, 3 jobs, hustling and grinding, trying to figure out more stuff to do, entrepreneur and stuff like that. And the woman is having to do 2 jobs. So this, and again, every country's fighting for power. That's why I guess that's where I was trying to go with what I was saying with America. America is not exempt from that. America, Trump, every single president, they want power. America wants power. We want to be the top dogs. So does the next country. And if they're going to use all this type of stuff to do it, who's going to be in control? Who's going to be the top dog? Who's going to submit? Who's going to bow down? Who's going to, whatever, eat crow? Let it be, because we want to control it. And every country wants to control it. And to be honest with you guys, I don't understand. And maybe it's because of my mindset. I don't understand why I would want to be in control of the world like that. It just, to me, that just seems so far out there and just crazy. And I know, I'm sure somebody would say, okay, well, there's this and that, but I'm like, that just seems like a headache. That honestly seems like, I mean, you look at pastors, like Pastor Russell's in here himself, right? You look at pastors that have to manage and look over their congregation and meet with people and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that he's controlling, or any pastor's controlling, but they have a title and a responsibility of looking over their congregation and flock. What in the world would I want to look over the whole world and be in control? And yeah, it might be different because in that case, like as a top person, Trump or whoever it might be, Net and BB, right? They're only dealing with like Trump and each other. They're not, like I said, they're not even dealing with us peasants. We're like nobodies. Oh, let me hear what you have to say. Just show up and vote. All right. Well, who cares what y'all said? So I mean, I get that to a point, but that they don't even really deal with us. But I don't know. I mean, that stuff is concerning more than you realize, and we haven't had nothing cut like that. And that's part of our problems, you guys. Is that part of our problems? And this is biblically speaking, is part of our problem is that us as Americans, we haven't faced any persecution, like by any means. I mean, I guess you might say the little bit of persecution that we may have faced may have been COVID, and then you have your own little tribulations that you go through. But we haven't faced like any hardship, and so it's hard for us to be like, okay, well, this is a reality. It's not going to be a reality to anybody here until it actually happens. And then by that time, it's going to be, like everybody says, it's going to be too late. By the time that happens, it's going to be too late. So just something to think about, loved ones, elderly people, all that type of jazz. They start cutting lines, and we've all talked about it. We've all talked about, oh, well, once the power grid goes down, well, it may not be above. It might be below. It may not be running above our heads or at a little substation. It might be below the ocean, 2,000 miles out in the ocean where you can't get to, where it takes days for a boat to get to. Days. That's the thing you got to think about. However long, wide that ocean is, from seashore to seashore, from land to land. How long it takes a ship to actually get to these spots. I don't even know how long it takes a ship to get across the ocean. I honestly don't know. Obviously, I know it's not. It's probably a few weeks, to be honest with you. It probably is. Yeah, my thing hit it again. It probably is a few weeks for it to get all the way across the ocean. And you think about that, like, because it takes us about 5 days, right, to go across the United States, right? About 4 days to go across the United States, 4 to 5 days. depending how fast you go. So something like that in the middle of the ocean, week and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And look how much they're, and look at, and see, these people are money hungry, right? And I've showed this before. I've showed this before, like, and I don't think a lot of people understand when we talk about these big corporations and stuff like that. The best way to hit them is their money, but nobody is willing to do it. And I'm not going to say nobody, but majority. I'm using it as nobody as a majority, right? Umbrella statement. The majority aren't willing to hit these people. Walmart itself, if their internet and stuff goes down, they're losing like $1 million a minute. Like real talk, $1 million a minute. And nobody is willing to. I mean, could you imagine that if the mass majority boycotted or did a 3-day? I mean, within scripture and within the faith, we talk about fast, right? 3-day fast, a day fast. Could you imagine if 50% of the world, even 40% of the world, did like a 1-day fast on like Walmart or Amazon? What that would do to them? Imagine 3 days. If they're making like $1 million a minute, if not more, goodness gracious. That's the way you take down the companies. Maybe they'd start paying people more money. But then now at the same time, that's starting to become too late as well because of AI. What we watched the other night, actually we didn't watch it. I posted it. Pastor Russell also sent me that, I believe. It was a guy talking about how the machines are going to take over us, and eventually they are. So what are we going to be doing as jobs? Because they're not going to need you. You got a machine to do it. And you go to Walmart, you have robots cleaning the floors now. Which cool because I don't want to really mop the whole Walmart floor. But point being, you're going to have robots doing everything. You got self-checkouts now. I mean, the customer service at stores nowadays, it sucks. Like there's no customer service because you got machines that can do it. You walk up and you actually do it. You actually serve yourself. You go to like McDonald's or any of these spots. You actually serve yourself. You order, you pay for it yourself, and you just wait for someone to give it to you. It's interesting where we're going. It is interesting, but it is what it is. We're in it now. I mean, we're in it now. You can't backtrack from it. And that's the sad part. That's the scary part. There's no backtracking from it. We're in it. We're in it. So, anywho. All right. So, a lot of y'all know about this Nolan Wells case, and I don't. I'm a rookie to it. I guess it happened July 4th, right? And the story of it is briefly. Where's Oddball? She was in here earlier today talking about that, and she did send me clips. And simply, I see that you sent me something on X. Let me see what you sent before. Maybe it has to do with this. So before I move on, let me see. Yeah. Okay. Elon Musk has claimed that universal high income will become necessary as AI keeps replacing human jobs. You should be scared. All right, let me do this. Let me go ahead and show it. Thank you, Simply. Let's see.
And people are very worried about this. So I guess 2 questions. Firstly, do you have to have massive redistribution from people like you to the people who are losing their jobs? Do you need to pay more tax? Do you have much higher taxes on capital so that you fund some kind of universal income? Otherwise, what do people live off?
I think that the Treasury should just simply issue people checks.
But where's the revenue coming from? I mean, I'm enough of an economist. If you just
It
issue
doesn't
checks, you're going to
matter.
have inflation.
This is like a lot of what we're trying to think about is these things were relevant in the past. They will not be relevant in the future. So like inflation is simply the ratio of money to goods and services. So if the goods and services output increases dramatically, if it increases, 1,000%, you can literally print, or these days change the database. It's not print money. You create money in the database, provided the creation of that money is less than the rate at which goods and services increase. You actually have deflation. So I'll make a prediction, which is that deflation will be the issue, not inflation.
Deflation will be the issue. Deflation. That's interesting. I mean, it makes sense though, right? Instead of everything going up and up and up. Yeah. Yep. That's good. Oh man. Is this the same one? Elon Musk says that in the very near future, universal high income will become mandatory as artificial intelligence continues to replace human. Right. But see, you have to do something in order for that to happen. He says it doesn't matter where the revenue comes from. I think the Treasury should just issue checks. So that might be the same. It looks like it's the same post. So this other one, a new massive class of useless. Pastor Russell, they're not talking about you. You are very useful. You're not useless. If you're still listening, I just want to make sure that you know that nobody's talking about you, Pastor Russell. A new massive class of useless people. WEF advisor. Sounds like a Jewish name. I'm not being racist. It's Yuval Noah Ari. As AI and computers outperform humans in most tasks, he argues that the key question of the 21st century will be, what do we need humans for? Or at least, why do we need so many of them? I don't know. Did you guys know why we need humans? That's actually a valid question. Why do we need humans anymore? He is wrong. The Bible tells how expensive things will be in the last day. I know he's wrong in that. He is wrong in that, and it doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. But Pastor Russell, do we even need humans anymore? Like, honestly, I don't think we need humans anymore because of all the stuff.
In the Industrial Revolution, we saw the creation of a new class of the urban proletariat, and much of the political and social history of the last 200 years involved what to do with this class and the new problems and opportunities. Now we see the creation of a new massive class of useless people. As computers become better and better in more and more fields, there is a distinct possibility that computers will outperform us in most tasks and will make humans redundant. And then the big political and economic question of the 21st century will be, what do we need humans for? Or at least, what do we need so many humans for?
Do you have an answer in the book?
At present, the best guess we have is keep them happy with drugs and computer games.
What do we need humans for? It's where we are at in a society, where we're going, it makes sense. With the AI and the push of this, I mean, the police departments, the dog. There was something I was watching earlier this week at the end of last week, where a dog had like a machine gun on the back of it. Not a dog, but a robotic dog. Walks around the corner and starts shooting. Well, we don't need the police officers no more because we don't want their lives to go to risk, so we don't need you guys no more. There's something I was trying to post. Oh, I don't even know if it downloaded. Let me see if it downloaded my phone right quick. I don't think it did. I've been meaning to post it. It didn't download yet. Actually, I could probably just show you. Let me just show you. I want to look this up. I mean, since we're speaking about all this, you talk about stuff that we've seen in movies, right? Check this out. Hopefully I can find it quick. What's this? Officer involved. I think that's old. Yeah. Where's that? Come on right here. 6 days ago, guys. 6 days ago. All right. Let me just show you this. Let me just show you this nice little gem. Let me show you this nice little piece here. Let me know what you guys think about this, because like I said, it's right here in our face now. It is. It's.
Spokane police tested a new tool this month that helped them catch a suspect without putting officers in danger. The department's drones proved they can do more than just watch from above. Deputies chased a black Chevy Silverado down southbound Monroe Street on Tuesday night. When the pursuit crossed into Spokane city limits, law enforcement decided to stop so as not to endanger the community. And that's where the drone took over, locating the suspect and eventually taking him into custody.
Having the drone up overhead, not applying pressure to the suspects, they had no idea, and then providing updates to patrol. It's an absolute game changer.
In just 3 weeks, the 4 drones have completed around 400 flights. Sergeant Craig Hamilton says the vast majority directly supported police calls. The drone company Skydio is letting the department use the pods at no cost through July. It's part of its Drones as First Responders program, and SPD will present its findings to city officials next Monday.
There you guys go. Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, there goes that job. We're not even going to chase them no more. We don't need to chase them no more. We don't even need to get in our vehicle sooner or later. You guys saw what I showed you at Freedom 250 with the taxi cab drone, right? Sits four or six people, and it takes people to the airport. It rolls out next year. I'm telling you, I feel so bad for the new generation. They will accept everything they are offered, easily manipulated and brainwashed. Yes. Only a fool thinks that humans are useless. It is the message of Satan to strip away the dominion of man over the earth. He is satanic. Yeah. How come, Pastor Russell, how come it's always like white guys that want to like get rid of the human race? I'm being innocent. That's the half of me asking the question, like the white half. How come it's always like how come it's always the white guys that want to like get rid of the human race, and they have their nice little suits on and blazers on. I mean, seriously, look, they have their suits on. They do. Right? They're nice little where's that? Oh, it's X. Yeah, they're nice little suits. They're all, they're looking all sharp and stuff, professional, looking. They kind of look Pentecostally without the tie, but they're dressed up, and they always. Adam was what? Okay, so it's Adam's fault. Adam was white, supposedly. So I guess Adam, he wanted to take out. I mean, his sons did kill each other, or one of his sons did kill his brother. So I guess you might be right. Oh gee, my grandson just got on the police force. Yeah. Yep. So I don't know. It's just interest, all this stuff. It's crazy where we're at. I think it's exciting times, and here's one of the reasons why I think it's exciting times, because there hasn't been nobody in history even biblically speaking, that have lived in the times that we are. Maybe except Noah, because it does say that, like in the days of Noah, it will return to like how it was in the days of Noah. So we are in this awesome time period, but Noah didn't have the Lord behind him, meaning, the cross. So we are like in this just awesome time period. Noah was the first guy. He was also, you know what, Patriot Wheel. Hey, you know what? To be honest with you, I told Pastor Russell, I think he albino. I think Pastor Russell's albino, and he just don't know it. But oh man. Anyways, wouldn't he be sunburned in the wrong place? In the wrong place. Worst if he was white. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Back in those times, so I don't know. Reverend Gunn, you got to take that up with Pastor Russell on that one. Y'all two can duke that one out, that question. Because they worship the devil. They worship power, control, and money. Yeah, and that's what goes. And, all this is connected from the beginning of the show tonight with these cables running under the ocean with power, money, and control, all the way to what they're talking about, that us humans aren't worth nothing. I told you guys, I've been telling you, we are peasants. Once Pastor Russell realizes that we're just peasants, we can move along perfectly fine. We are just peasants. We're peons. So you're just a number, guys. You're just a number. Just accept it. You're just a number. Okay. So I'd be black on the inside. Yeah. So Nolan Wells, Oddball sent me some stuff today on X as well. I need to look at that when I get a chance. I haven't had the opportunity to do it. Sent me like 4 links. Yes, YouTube thing, 3. Part 1, part 2, part 3. Nolan Wells' best friend tells the truth about Nolan Wells after backlash. I think these are with Officer Tatum. I'm not sure if these are the ones with Officer Tatum. I haven't looked at them yet. With that said, Oddball, you seem to know, you're a little bit up on the game with Nolan Wells. So from what I know, it sounds like he and some buddies went out to some island in the Gulf of America, right? In the Gulf of America, not far from the shorelines of Mississippi area, right? Mississippi, I think it's I think that's the state. Is it Mississippi? Yeah. Yes. Mississippi. There's a 4-part. Many others. Okay. So went out to some island and something happened where he wanted to stay behind. This is how the story goes from what I'm understanding. He wanted to stay behind when it was time to go with his buddies, and that was the end of that. Horn Island, Mississippi. So Horn Island, Mississippi is right. Here's Horn Island, Mississippi. Right there we have that thing. It says Gulf Islands. I'm zooming into it right here. This whole little island. Now, I don't know how they got there. I'm sure a boat. I don't think any of them swam that mile or 2 miles, if not more, out there. It looks more than a mile, probably a few miles out there. I don't think anybody swam it. Right? Nobody swam out there. Nobody swam out there. I don't think so. So it was time to leave, theoretically. Yes, by boat. Theoretically, it was time to leave. Nolan wanted to stay on the island. I don't even know what time this was or whatever. So these are 18, 19-year-olds, right? And then a few days later, Nolan's body gets swept up on the shore in Mississippi's, or maybe the island. Was it the island? It was the island. His body gets washed up on the shore. Well, now it's like, who did it, right? I mean, that becomes the first question. Who did it? Now, I don't know all the stuff between the boys going back on the land and them talking to people or whatever. I don't know if hey, we left Nolan out there. He wanted to stay, which that's a very stupid thing. Nolan, I'm calling you stupid right now. That's very stupid because you're out there and that island has nothing there. I mean, that thing looks boring. I mean, white sand, but it looked boring. I don't know what time of the night this was. Now, at the same time, it sounds like there might have been some alcohol mixed in with this little adventure. It's a very popular hangout, especially for summer holidays. It's like 10 miles offshore. Okay, so again, nobody swam that. 10 miles offshore. It sounds like there might have been, some adult beverages involved in this situation. So it looks like, so let me, by judging that you said it's 10 miles, Ashley, from shore out there, it looks like it's approximately probably about the same amount of distance lengthwise, about 10 miles long, maybe 7 to 10. We'll say 7 to 10 miles long. Okay, so no, you say no, there were tons of boats and people partying. Okay, so tons of boats and people partying. And the partying that you're referring to, I'm going to insert alcohol because usually when people say party, usually that means it could mean there's going to be some alcohol involved in it. Okay. I think the boys also said there was alcohol involved, that they were out there drinking. Okay. So he wants to stay there. And with that said, he wanted to stay there. And so if he wanted to stay there at that age of 18, 19, you're going to do your own thing. You're coming into your own manhood. No, I don't want to go. I want to stay, yada, yada, yada. So here's the thing. And I'm not the only one that thought about this. I'm sure I'm not. Why does it have to automatically go to the boys doing something like these guys and all his friends? Why does that automatically have to go? Now, are they in the wrong? I mean, legally by drinking? Yes. Okay. So yes. Is he in the wrong legally by drinking? Yes. If he was, or if any of them were, yes. Okay. Right. So if they were, why can't that like be a number one option? Why? And here's the thing. And it's a thing that grinds me because a lot of people and it's one of those things. And this is why it's bad to judge from a humanity versus godly. It's because things like this, because we will look at, okay, well, they were drinking, and most people don't look at it as bad, like as to a level as murder, right? If someone murders someone, we're going to say, oh, that person was bad for the most part. A person walks into a school, oh, that person's wicked and bad and yada, yada, yada. If people drink and get drunk, oh, they were getting drunk and, things like that. It's so minimized. It's minimal. But to God, being drunkard is in the same it's in the same category and caliber as a lot of other things that people frown upon, but they don't frown upon people, quote unquote, partying. Right? They don't. In fact, so and so threw up, and they start laughing about it. Right? So it's that sin. Let's just call it for what it is. That sin is accepted in the world and with people. And in fact, people encourage each other to sin in that way on a big scale. So if that is involved, is there a possibility that he maybe wandered off, right? I mean, the Gulf of Mexico is warm water. It's right off of, it's kind of connected to the Atlantic Ocean. It's southern. It's warmer water. He's possibly drunk. Brandon Tatum interviewed also shared that they were drinking. They were 21 and over, right? I don't know if they were 21 over. I don't think they were. And yes, oddball, I need to do some more stuff, but this is what I'm saying. This is what I've kind of have gathered so far. And you could tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm off in what I'm saying. I'm fine with that. Like I said, I don't have all the knowledge there with this particular topic. So if he stayed behind, and even if there is a lot of people, if there wasn't, I don't know I don't know the time of night it was when they left or things like that. Maybe I'll find out in more information I listen to or whatever, what time of the night it was when they left. You know, was it midnight at night? Was it clearing out? Was there still a lot of people? Was there not a lot of people? You know, what was he doing? Was he alive when there were still people there, or were more people? You know, it's a long, like I said, it's a longer island. It looks like it. And if he was tipsy, which is still drunk, right? Could he have went into the ocean? No, they were like 18 and older. Okay, so 18. I said 19. So 18, 19 years old. And still at that age, boys, they don't listen to each other. There's like, you know, that you can say that, talk about the accountability game all you want, but they don't listen. It's like, I'm trying to become my own manhood. I don't listen to you. Right. So if he stayed there, is a possibility that it was something that he did on his own. Now, okay, but here's the other part. If it was something that did he drown? I don't know. And I don't know the story, but I'm just saying possibilities. You know, was it what I was going to say? Well, maybe a shark got to him, but probably not, because if they found him, if he washed up on shore, and if there was nothing, like, they would know if an animal got to him, I guess, right? So, wildlife is out the question more than likely. But did he drown? I don't know. And then I guess from what I'm hearing is that the autopsies and stuff are finding that they can't find anything, which is strange. So that even brings it more of it to like a drowning sort of thing. But I don't know. But like, so it's going to be an interesting case. Booze kills in so many different ways. Could have been an accident. Just speculating. Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. Things could have all been an accident with this whole thing. They were not intoxicated. It depends what you mean by intoxicated. It depends on what you mean by intoxicated, because the reports. Brandon Tatum, I know they said that they were drinking. Now that's why I said it depends on what you mean as intoxicated. Yeah, another question: were drugs involved? Don't know, but it is an island. Did he know how to swim? Don't know. Did he try to swim to shore after? Oh man, my boys left me. There's got to be people that know, but not these boys. And I'm starting to think that, even though I'm not that far educated and have knowledge with the case, I'm starting to actually believe that more. That if he stayed behind, if he didn't know how to swim and maybe attempted to or something, maybe got in a fight. I don't know. Maybe got in a fight and water rushed up on him and took him out and drowned. I don't know. At this point, everything is speculation, correct? So with that said, I won't rant no more. I'm not really ranting. Waiting game, I guess. Yes. With that said, let's see what Officer Tatum had to say on Stephen A. Smith's show just a few days ago with another gentleman. This might be good.
And it's involving the case of Nolan Wells, the 18-year-old college football player out of Ocean Springs, Mississippi, who died. Body was found July 6th, 2 days after going away with some friends on July 4th. A lot of people are talking about this story because, according to the reports, he was a black dude, and he was the only black dude with a few white dudes, and they all came back alive, and he didn't. Clearly, since that time, we've learned via reporting on the part of some people via an autopsy report and other things, that there are some conflicting facts that need to be brought to light. And I think that it's time to have a discussion about this from the vantage point of two completely different sides. One is a conservative, one is a liberal, one's a former police officer, one is a civil rights attorney and a legal mind. It's a lot to get into, make no mistake about it. It's going to be Officer Tatum on the right. It's going to be Charles F. Colman Jr., civil rights attorney, on the left. And there's clearly a lot of things to get into, conflicting accounts. One friend claimed Wells chose to stay behind to talk to a girl. Wells' family strongly disputes this, stating they raised him to never separate from his group. There's a boat issue, phone records, and dispatch.
Okay, right there, that's the I'm a parent of like 20 children, supposedly. That's what people say. Right? I can say all day long that I raised my kids to do something, which I have. I've raised them to do things. I've raised them not to lie to me. Right? I've raised them to do certain things, not just. And guess what? Sometimes they're kids and they still do things. So for parents to sit here and say, oh, we raised him not to ever separate from their group. He's 19 years old or 18. At 18 years old, away from you, more than likely he is going to separate from his group if he or she wants to. Let's just be honest. If he's already drinking, I don't care if it was intoxicated or not, if he's already drinking at 18, he's making his own choices when he's away from you. Right? Right. So that, when I just heard, if that's something that's been said by his parents, that's ignorant. That's just a stupid thing to say. I mean, you could say it. You could say, okay, yeah, we taught him that, but okay, it's kind of irrelevant type of a comment. Because again, let's put on our thinking caps, and you guys think about when you're 18 and how you were raised, and if you ever did anything that was opposite than how you were raised at 18. I certainly did. I did. So why wouldn't Nolan, or why wouldn't any of the boys that he was with? I mean, we can start there if we want to dissect this thing.
Audio indicate the friend's boat suffered a mechanical failure around 4 p.m. as they left the island. When calling for a tow, the operator stated everyone on board was in good health. There's also the issue of Nolan Wells' body being found after being reported missing by his mother near midnight. A multi-agency search was launched. A National Park Service ranger found Wells' body floating face down on the northwestern tip of Horn Island on July 6th. Again, civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump is representing the family. And Officer Tatum, as in Brandon Tatum, traveled to Mississippi, interviewed one of the boys involved in the case. But according to him, he probably interviewed several folks in attendance that July 4th day.
100% OG. At 18 years old, you're already out there drinking, partying. You're staying. Bros, peace. I'll catch up with y'all. Yep. The parents don't know him that well.
So there's a lot of stuff to get into, and without further ado, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I know very little about this case other than what I've read and what I've seen on television.
Club, Stephen A.
I've heard the reports implying one thing. Nevertheless, we're hearing other things come to light. So rather than speculate any longer, let's get to the bottom of it to the best that we can at this particular moment in time, with one autopsy having been done, another autopsy being performed, and evidence emanating from that's been deemed incomplete, to say the least. There's a lot to get into. So without further ado, here we go. Get your ears perked up. Get your thought process circulating and percolating. It's time to get into it right now. My first guest is a civil rights attorney, a former federal prosecutor, and an MS Now legal analyst. He writes the What Matters Now newsletter on Beehive, and you can catch him on his podcast, The Brothers Briefing. He is joined by a former Arizona police officer turned conservative YouTube political commentator and host of the Officer Tatum podcast. Please welcome to the show, Charles F. Colman Jr. and, of course, Officer Brandon Tatum. Good afternoon, fellas. How y'all doing? How's everything?
Blessed.
I'm doing well, brother. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Charles Colman Jr., let's start off with you. What can you tell us? I mean, the Nolan Wells case has been in the news for nearly 3 weeks now. For those who may not be aware of the case or have not kept up with the facts, just to recap, he was an 18-year-old college football player from Ocean Springs, Mississippi. On July 4th, he and a group of friends traveled by private boat to Horn Island, an uninhabited barrier island off the Mississippi coast. Wells was the only black person on the boat. Wells was last seen on the island around 3 p.m. His friends returned to the mainland without him. And as a result, ultimately, a couple of days later, he was found dead. Charles Colman Jr., at this particular juncture.
Hold on. At 3 p.m. in the afternoon? That's like early. Is that what he said, 3 p.m. in the afternoon? Hold on. I'm sorry. What?
Person on the boat. Wells was last seen on the island around 3 p.m. His friends returned to the mainland without him.
What time did his friends return to the mainland? 3 p.m. in the afternoon on July 4th. That's early. That's early.
And as a result, ultimately, a couple of days later, he was found dead. Charles Colman Jr., at this particular juncture, what's on your mind in terms of this case? What's missing? What are your thoughts?
There's a lot of people at 3
Well,
p.m.
Stephen A., we just saw the family release their independent autopsy results yesterday, which were conducted by Dr. Roger Mitchell, who is the president of the National Medical Association. And those results were inconclusive. They were able to establish that Nolan Wells did not die by accident, that he did not die of natural causes, but at the same time that they were not able to establish that this was a homicide. In fact, those results established that it was not a homicide. Now, one important caveat to note is that the chief medical officer from the state of Mississippi, the sheriff's office, removed the throat from Nolan Wells's autopsy when their autopsy was conducted first. We have not heard the results of the state's autopsy, but we know that when Roger Mitchell examined the body for the family, that the throat and other organs have been removed. So that your listeners understand, that's not abnormal. That is something that takes place normally during the case of an investigation and of an autopsy. So there's nothing that was wrong there. But at this point, Dr. Roger Mitchell, who did the independent autopsy from the family, has not been able to confirm any sense of foul play as of yet. That was undecided or undecisive. That does not mean that foul play may not have occurred. It just means that the autopsy that was conducted by the family did not show that conclusively. He saw some potential trauma to Nolan Wells's head. That was not something that he was able to explain as being the result of foul play. And we have yet to hear the state's autopsy and what they found or what their findings were. You may recall, and listeners may recall, that initially the sheriff's office said that they had no reason to suspect that foul play was afoot. And what I would say that this autopsy confirms from the family is that while that cannot be certainly confirmed, it still can't be ruled out. So finally, there are 60 witnesses that have been interviewed in the course of this investigation by the sheriff's office. There's likely going to be a presentation to the grand jury, and we don't know what the toxicology report will show from Nolan Wells because much of that is in the hands of the state. But as of right now, this is where things stand. And as a former prosecutor, I want to know what the state's autopsy is going to say and what are the witness accounts that they are going to put forward in the grand jury.
Officer Tatum,
Wow.
You personally interviewed, you traveled to Mississippi, from my understanding, you to personally interview one of the young men who left the island without Nolan. Why should the public trust whatever account is coming from them right now, in your estimation, based on what you've learned? First things first, I shouldn't say that. First things first, what did you deduce from the conversation you had from one of the friends that was with Nolan Wells? What did you take away from that that you'd like the public to know?
Real quick, why does anybody, and I want to know this, has Officer Tatum reached out to Nolan's family? And I'm only asking for fairness and unbiasedness. Like, why did he, and I don't know, I don't know this. Maybe somebody does. Maybe nobody does. It just seems like it'd be only fair or right to go to other people and go to Nolan's family as well. So to me, it just seems like it would only be fair. Now, maybe they declined. Maybe he did, and they declined. Okay, well, that's on them. But it just seems like he should, in my opinion.
Well, Stephen A, I want to make sure this is clear. I actually spoke to all the boys that were being accused. I spoke to family members. I spoke to also their attorneys. It's just that the one young man had the I wouldn't say courage, because others had reasons why they didn't want to come on the camera, but he was able to come on the camera, and I interviewed him. And I also interviewed another young man who was Black, who was there, who had his own personal accounts of what happened. I'm not asking people to believe or not believe. I just wanted to give people the information. So nobody had heard from the young boys. Nobody had heard their accounts. And a lot of misinformation was put out there, some intentionally, some maybe not intentionally, but it was very detrimental and not conducive for the investigation into Nolan Wells' death. It was punitive. They came out and started. It had to be something nefarious because these boys are white for any other reason. So I wanted to go out and hear the full story. And what I deduced from the interview and talking to everybody is that these young boys had nothing to do with what ended up happening to Nolan Wells. And also they were best friends. I mean, these kids had so many pictures, so many text messages of them being closer to Nolan than any other friend group. And also one thing that shocked me was that this was an island, not secluded, not an island with 5 or 6 people on it. It was an island where there was thousands of people there, hundreds of boats. And also a lot of people could verify the statements that was made from some of these young men. So I really wish that we could.
Did someone say, hold on real quick. Did someone say head trauma? Did someone say head trauma? That Stephen A mentioned something about that. And so did the Charles guy. Did they say something about head trauma? Possibly like no foul play, or looks like no foul play. What does that? Did they? I thought one of them said something about that. If so, here's another option. Since this island was so crowded, is it a possibility that he was in the water and possibly a boat hit him? And maybe not, because what do you do? Because when boats hit things, and maybe he was underwater swimming, perhaps at that exact moment or second that the boat hit him, or what, even if it was a sea-doo, right? And a lot of times when boats hit things, even waves, it sounds like thumps. It's like thump, hit a wave, thump, thump, thump. Okay, you may not even know, and you just keep going. So is that even a possibility? Back of the head, what part? I don't know. I'm asking. I thought someone said something about the head. I thought Charles or Stephen A, when he was reading, mentioned something about his head. And that's why I'm asking this question. I'm like, maybe he was playing in the water, and Officer Tatum is saying that this place is packed, and Ashley also in the chat said it was packed. There was redness on the back of his head. Okay, and that's so a couple days later, 2 days later, they find redness on the back of his head. And not every time that you have a head injury, it's going to be blood and gush, and you're not going to be cut open either. It could have easily been a bump, a concussion sort of thing. Think about football players when they pass out on the field from concussions. They're not like bleeding always from their head. So if he was in the water, a boat possibly hit him or something like that, hit him. Don't you go out, you knock out while you're in the water, maybe out. You could be like 10 feet out. You could be like you can barely touching the floor. Don't knock out. Your face is in the water. You're drowning. You're drowning at that point. You're knocked out in the water. You're drowning, and especially if no one knew. I wanted to hear from the girl he stayed behind with. Yeah, that too. Oddball. Yep. So I'm just saying that that is I guess a possibility. I didn't think about that, but when he said thousands of people, Ashley said, in the chat said thousands of it's packed. So okay, 3:00 in the afternoon. There's that possibility if the place is packed with boats, which obviously it has to be because that's the only way to get there, right? There was reddening under the skin back of the head during the second autopsy. It could be from settling body fluids from being on his back during transport from Mississippi to DC for the second. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Started at a point to say, what happened to Nolan Wells? Let's work together as a community. Let's talk to these young men, talk to other people, and let's find out what happened to Nolan instead of jumping the race.
Officer Tatum, how did you know that it was misinformation that was put out there? How did you come to the conclusion that something was misinformation? Explain that. Is it just according to their account or something else?
No. Initially, I knew it was hogwash because when Al Sharpton and them got on TV, they automatically made an inference to say, well, it was something that had to happen because these kids were white. It was white kids with one black boy. I mean, that there's no evidence to project that unless you believe every white person is nefarious in their dealings with black people. And so I thought that was suspicious on his face. And then they said that Nolan was the only black kid. He was not the only black kid. Many of his black friends were also at the island with him. So, some of those things that started to come out, I knew that they were not being truthful about what happened.
Charles, your thoughts, your response to what Officer Tatum just said.
I don't necessarily know that the initial statements about Nolan being with some of his white friends is entirely afactual. I also don't know that it is a nefarious statement in as much as these are facts. He was with a number of different white boys or a number of different boys who are white. I think that the problem with what officers say.
Hold on. Okay, so that's a factual statement, but to paint it to say, oh, something must have happened. He was with white people, so something like, because you have to understand Al Sharpton's mindset. Their mindset comes from a place of victim, and like I said earlier today when I was talking, they come from a place of them believing that there's never any true justice, or let me say it like this, that black people never win in cases like this. So that's where they're coming from. That's their, if you want to say that's their experience, fine. That might be a fact too. That might be their experience, right? So if that's their experience of saying black people never win cases like this, then of course he's going to come out and say something in regards to how Tatum is describing him to be, which I can see that happening, right? Especially if they believe that nothing ever happened for us, Yeah, so something must have happened to Nolan because he was with white people. I can see them saying that. I could definitely see them saying that because of, if you want to say, their personal maybe experiences, right?
As just pointed out, is that there is an underpinning of race when you're having a conversation about the types of things that happen and have happened to black boys and black people in Mississippi, such that it cannot be summarily dismissed. I did not necessarily jump to any conclusion, but the history of what race relations have been in Mississippi and how we have not necessarily been safe has caused me to take a special look at this case. It doesn't mean that I'm accusing anyone of anything. It doesn't mean that I do not believe in finding the process. But at the same time, I am not going to ignore the facts, which you just pointed out. These are facts. He may have been with other black people, but we have seen the pictures. We have seen the photos. There were a number of people who were gathered out there for the July 4th holiday, but Nolan Wells was with 3 boys who happened to be white. Those are facts.
That's a fact. Okay.
He was with, but the thing is that it's facts without context. He was with more than just 3 white boys. That's the problem. There was over 20, 30 kids that got on 3 boats, and they all went to the island together. They didn't just travel with Nolan and just these 3 boys. Many of the boys that they're accusing, including Warren, wasn't even on the boat with Nolan. when Nolan went out to the island. So some of those things were mischaracterizations of what actually happened. And the thing is that I don't think it's fair to say, because history has shown in part that white people or black people have had injustices, that all of a sudden you project that into a new situation. Black people have done nefarious things to other black people. Does that mean that you automatically jump to saying, oh, black people must be wrong in this situation? You know, because he had his black friends there too. And why nobody's questioning them? Why nobody's saying, why didn't the black friends rescue him? What did the black kids know about Nolan? And many of them said that they saw him last when the white boys had left at 4:30. So I just think that the race should never be interjected. Nolan's friends told me, and they proved to me that they were really close to him and they were some of his best friends. They said Nolan would have been incredibly upset at the way people are framing his death and going after his friends with no evidence.
Okay, think about that. Now, okay. Oh, how sad. How sad. This is. Thanks, Oddball. Appreciate you. This is. I'm saying that because she said do your research. This is sad. Because think about what he just said, and if this is true, which I don't have no reason not to believe it. If these boys was like best friends with him and close, think about what this does to him. To them, if they have text messages and they had a relationship, think about what this does to them. For one, they lost a friend, and now for two, they're hated. Now for three, they probably won't even be able to go say goodbye to their friend at the funeral. And this is somebody that it was friends. Now I don't know how deep of friendship it was, right? But obviously close enough. To a degree, but they won't be able to go to the funeral without fireworks of some sort. And they're probably advised not to. On top of that, that sucks. Especially if they were really tight, that sucks.
Well, here's the thing. Tatum, hold on, Charles. I would say this to you, Officer Tatum. I get where you're coming from. And by the way, I appreciate the context and I appreciate the reporting on your part, because numerous reports that I had read was talking about how he was the only black kid there. He was a black kid with a few white boys, and you articulating that fact is very, very important. I think that's important and fair to point out. But what do you say to folks that will ask this kind of question? He's on a boat, he's on an island, and according to numerous reports, he talked about staying behind and traveling back with a different set of company. Yet his car keys and his phone was left on a boat that he had traveled to those guys with. So what teenager do you know is saying he's staying someplace, but he's going to leave his car keys and his phone on the boat with the guys that he arrived at the island with? That does seem a bit suspicious, particularly when the guy's mother, Nolan.
Okay, so that there is easy to debunk or whatever, excuse away. He left his keys on a boat, intentionally go back to a boat, right? Why not? What? Again, the critical thinking, right? So you're going out to play, you leave your keys, you leave your phone on the boat, probably because you're going to go in water. Possibly. I don't want to leave it on the sand because little grains get into the phone. Boys at that age aren't really responsible. I'm not going to say that they're dumb, but sometimes, hey, I'm not thinking about, I need to protect my phone and keep it wrapped up in something and what yada yada. Best place to keep it is on the boat. Oops. All right, you guys go. We've been drinking a little bit. Again, we don't know to the level of the drinking, for one. Oops, forgot the phone on the boat and my keys. Guess what? I'm coaching today. My oldest, one of my oldest boys, football team, helping. And after practice, there's a kid walking around. Like, you all right? Yep. And he says, "Oh, so and so forgot his phone." Wow. I wonder if that was intentional or was it nefarious? Forgot his phone. I'm like, okay, you can give it to me or give it to head coach. People forget their phones. People forget their keys. Wow. I mean, again, that can happen. And I'm not saying that people aren't thinking about that, but the way he just described it was like no one thinks about that.
Well's mother had to use some app to locate the phone, and it was something that wasn't given back. These are reports. I'm not pretending to know, Officer Tatum. These are what the report said. What do you say to that?
And this is where I feel like Benjamin Crump and them should be sued for them putting out this information without facts. Let me point the facts out. Without context, it sounds bizarre. But when you put it in the context that a lot of people left their phones on the boat that left. Many kids came to get their phone after they left the lake. Nolan was with a girl. It's not shocking that Nolan would have said, hey, man, you guys had to leave, because they had to leave in an emergency situation. It wasn't like they had time to prep and everything. The boat was sinking, so they had to go. And they told Nolan, get on the boat, get on the effing boat, man, let's go. And he like, no, I'm finna hang out with this girl. I saw evidence of that, and others who had sent messages that I read that said that they asked Nolan to go and he didn't want to go. Now, a lot of people left their phones on the boats because they're sitting in chest deep water. And it's a bunch of people out there. The reception is not very good. So most people did not have their phone with them. Now, the phone and the keys situation, people need to understand the context. Nolan never brought his keys with him because they were on a boat driving 7 miles out to an island. His keys had always been at the residence where his car was. So when the guys go back, they text Nolan's mother. That's where it ticks me off. They showed me a phone call where immediately the first phone call that was made concerning Nolan was Warren called Nolan's mom, and she hung up the phone on him the first time because she didn't know who he was. The second call, he told her, hey, Nolan haven't come back. Do you know, have you heard from him? And then they called the Coast Guard. So his mother was very much aware that they had Nolan's phone. His mother did not have to track the phone through Life 360. His mother didn't come get the phone. Another parent of a black kid who was out there with Nolan came to get her son's phone and Nolan's phone. So why didn't Al Sharpton or any of them ask these boys what happened, have them show evidence, and then present it to the public? And it's because I think they wanted the race bait instead of trying to find out what happened to Nolan.
Do you know hold on, Charles. Do you know whether or not Al Sharpton and those guys had asked to talk to the kids and the kids refused to talk to them? Do you know
no, they told me truth to that? They told me that they haven't heard anything from Al Sharpton or anybody that tried to contact them. This is what they told me. Now, they showed me messages where parents had communicated and reached out to Benjamin Crump, his team, and said, we would love to communicate with you guys. Any questions you have, we want to talk to you guys so you can get the context. Also, they messaged Nolan's mother multiple times about communicating and saying, hey, if you need anything, if you want to talk, we can give you the context of what happened. And nobody reached out to these boys. And I saw evidence of this, which is what frustrated me about this in the first place.
Wow.
Charles, floor is yours.
So here's the thing, Officer Tatum, we're not going to litigate the facts on here from one side of someone who's had an opportunity to talk to a sample size of people who were involved in this investigation. You and I know just as well that the real issue here is that the people who conducted the investigation, i.e. the Mississippi Sheriff's Department, who've talked to over 60 witnesses in this case, have not yet presented that case or their findings to a grand jury, and they've been extremely tight-lipped with respect to what they have found and what it is that they know. Where I'm going with this is, regardless of who you may have spoke to, who Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton may have spoken to, what information they have had, we are all trying to piece this together. And so it is equally as unfair to present a certain set of facts as if this is the final context of things, when in reality, we don't know. What I will say about the overall situation is that for me, as a civil rights attorney, I am looking at this and I am saying that there needs to be a greater sense of transparency from the Sheriff's Department, because they are the ones who have spoken to most of the parties who have been involved in this case. They've conducted over 60 witness interviews. They've done the toxicology report. They have the autopsy. So these are the people who are truly equipped from an information place to give the public the most accurate picture. So I am not calling what you're putting out misinformation, but what I am saying is that that is just an equally biased and slanted point of view in the opposite way, because it lacks the full context. So because of that, let me finish. it's disingenuous intellectually, number one, to dismiss the notion of race, because that is choosing to ignore the history in America that we have faced. Number two, it's equally disingenuous to play a whataboutism to try and substitute the notion of black on black crime, which is a complete misnomer as to why we should not focus, or at least note, I won't even say focus, at least note the color issues that are at play with respect to what could or might have happened to Nolan Wells. Again, not necessarily being accusatory. And it's just as disingenuous for you to go further and say, well, we must assume, or it seems like Crump and Sharpton and everyone else was projecting the notion of race. That may have been your interpretation.
They love that stupid word. And that is the most stupidest word I've ever heard in my life. It's so disingenuous. Who cares? How is it disingenuous by stating something like that? They always, all the left, they all use that word, disingenuous. All the time. It's disingenuous if you say something like that. Am I supposed to be genuous?
I cannot necessarily argue with, but it is just as problematic for you to suggest the polar opposite of that when none of us have conducted this full investigation. You have a limited sample size. I have a limited sample size. The public has been wrought with misinformation. So for me, the real issue here is a lack of transparency from the sheriff's office to give the public a complete picture.
Well, let me tell you why I disagree with you fully. As a former police officer, and I was a PIO, I dealt with all of these things. The police department is not an injustice when you say there's a lack of communication or transparency. The police department cannot put this information out there when you still have suspects at large. If they go and release some of this information and show their hands of what they know and don't know, then potential suspects will begin to destroy evidence. They'll start hiding. They'll start cleaning stuff. You don't want to give that information out to the public until you know for a fact that you've been able to communicate with every suspect that's out there. If you start putting out the autopsy prematurely and it shows blunt force to the head, strangulation to the neck, then the people who have done this are going to make sure they hide the murder weapon. They're going to make sure they get their stories together and say, no, I didn't hit him in the back of the head. You don't want to project those things too prematurely. Yep. So there's no issue with transparency. And I'll say this: the reason that I'm talking about Al Sharpton and them is because the first thing that they said was that he was there with white boys. Therefore, there had to have been something. And then it goes back historically. Some of them compared this to the young man.
I've heard very different messages from them when they have said, we cannot assume that this is racist. But we cannot assume that it wasn't. So I'm going to correct you there.
Let me jump in here.
Who's that, Charles? Hold on. Charles, who said that? Who said that?
Literally during his eulogy, Al Sharpton said, we cannot assume that this was racist. And he said, we can also not assume that it wasn't.
Take your time. Take your time. Hold on, guys, take your time. Ain't nothing getting edited out. Don't worry about it. Trust me. All of it is, I'm not editing a damn thing. Go ahead, Officer Tatum, floor is yours.
Well, let me interject. When you are looking for justice for your child in a criminal case, meaning that somebody committed a crime against your child, why do you go out and get a civil rights attorney? These Benjamin Crump and them are known for going after these cases specifically in injustices against black people.
Let me try it first.
Okay, go ahead.
No, that's fair. No, that's fair, Charles. Go ahead.
I'm a former prosecutor. I'm a civil rights attorney. Please understand how these things work. At the end of the day, when you're talking about quote unquote justice, the first reason why you get someone like Benjamin Crump is because he's a person who has experience with wrongful death lawsuits.
Black people.
So it's not about black people. No,
it is. Benjamin don't represent white people.
Please talk about that is completely false. That is
completely false. When was the last case he represented where he supported white people?
I'm not here to do your research for you.
No, you don't want to say it. I'm telling you it didn't happen.
But Benjamin Crump has a long-standing career of supporting people of all races and ethnicities when it comes to the violation of their civil rights.
Give me one.
As well as personal injury. So please let me answer your question.
Go ahead.
The reason why you get a civil rights attorney is because, number one, Benjamin Crump has extensive experience when it comes to wrongful death suits. Number two, in this situation, it is possible that there may be an element that Nolan Wells' civil rights were violated and that something may have happened to him because of his color, which is why you get a civil rights attorney, And so that is the answer to your question.
It's about
As
color.
a former prosecutor, you let the police and the sheriff's office deal with the notion of criminality because that is one thing that.
Okay, well. Believe it or not, you guys, Charles Colman is actually correct. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump has represented white individuals and their families in specific high-profile cases. Most notable, the family of 17-year-old Hunter Britton, an unarmed white teenager shot and killed by Arkansas sheriff's deputy in 2021. Why wasn't that on the news? You see, so even what we're talking about right now, what these two are talking about, a lot of this is news, media, creating stuff. Yeah, we're all sitting here pointing at Benjamin, Al Sharpton. Okay, but now looking at this, like, okay, so Ben Crump here's a 17-year-old white kid shot by Arkansas sheriffs. I don't remember it. While his caseload primarily focuses on people of color, he has also represented white inmates who died or were killed while incarcerated. Wow, I didn't know that either. Though an exact number across his hundreds of cases is not publicly tracked or specified. Hunter represented the family of the white teenager killed during a traffic stop in Wanaco, County, Arkansas, stating that the police accountability must cross racial lines. Incarnation cases handled legal matters involving white inmates who died due to abuse or neglect while in custody. Well, there you go. So he has. And so that's crazy that even Officer Tatum didn't know that. Officer Tatum didn't know that Crump has represented white guys.
Benjamin Crump can't do anything about.
Well, let's say this, brother. Can I jump in here?
That's why you go get someone like Benjamin Crump.
Why wouldn't the kids get civil rights? Like, for instance, people were saying, why did these kids lawyer up? Well, first of all, many of them didn't even have a lawyer. They went and talked to investigators and did a lie detector test equivalent with no lawyers. Okay, so but anyway, would you think it would be weird if these kids went out and got a civil rights attorney? Yeah.
Why would they have a civil rights attorney? They're not being accused of anything.
They are being accused.
Who's accused them? Who has accused them?
Al Sharpton. Benjamin Crump.
Show me where Al Sharpton has accused them of something.
All right. They said this is what they said.
Suspicious.
This is what they said. No. They said they put these boys' pictures out on the internet and said he went out, and they framed it as he went out just with them. And something happened, and we know something happened, and why they hiding phones and doing all this? He's accusing them before any evidence is presented.
That's not an accusation. That is an accusation. It's a statement of suspicion. That is not an accusation.
Charles, let me chime in here. A statement of suspicion, some people would say, is an accusation. I understand from the legal, literal sense what you're saying. But talking amongst ourselves right now, when you say a statement of suspicion is not an accusation, that's not how people interpret a statement of suspicion. When you make a statement of suspicion, you're making an accusation. I mean, can we at least concede that, Charles?
What I will say in response to that, Stephen A, is to whatever extent there may have been statements of suspicion that were interpreted in that manner given early on, I think the record has been clear leading up to and during Nolan Wells' funeral that A, we don't know what happened, B, we won't rule anything out, and C, with respect to ruling anything out or not ruling anything out, we are not saying that this absolutely happened, but we are not saying that we are resting until we get answers.
Pastor Russell, do you mean he wasn't forced? Was not forced? That must be because he probably wasn't forced.
Hold on,
this becomes biased.
Officer Tatum, let me come at you with this. What's wrong? There's a kid now. Okay, granted, you did your homework. You went out there and you actually talked to several of his friends. Props to you for that. But the bottom line is, this kid Nolan Wells is dead, and he was the only one that was dead. What's wrong with, again, in the state of Mississippi? Not just with white boys. There were some dudes there as well, but he had other people there. He was the one that did not come home alive. Again, without an official accusation. What's wrong with having your suspicions raised and saying, listen, we need some damn answers. Something ain't right. He was a healthy young 18-year-old and he didn't come home alive. How'd that happen? What's wrong with that?
Now, if they had context and all the information, and then they led with that, I would have no problem with it. But let me tell you this right now, Stephen A. Smith and Charles, I'm telling you right now, if a white boy was on an island with his black friends, all black, and some white folks put on a camera, that something must be suspicious because the one white boy is with all these black dudes, and something may have happened. We know that people covering it up and everything because these kids black. Man, we'd be pissed off on that. Ain't no way in the world I'd accept somebody saying, you gonna blame these black boys for doing something to this kid just because they black? That's insane. And that's what happened in this situation.
If a white boy had been on that boat with 3 black boys, we would have seen a very different.
Where's your evidence? Give me a case.
History.
No history. You say history can tell us everything.
We would have seen please let me finish my statement. We would have seen a very different.
Give me an example
of the Central Park, the exonerated 5.
Well, first of all, 5 of them didn't go to prison. It was Central Park 5. Only 4 of them went to prison.
It was actually 6 of them, and 5 of them went to prison. And I'm not.
And let me tell you how they went to prison.
I'm not going to quibble with you.
You won't give context.
One at a time, guys. One at a time. One at a time.
You asked for an example. I'm not going to quibble with you and say, well, they're called the exonerated 5 and only 4 went to. I'm not going to do that. The exonerated 5. You wanted an example. I gave you an example.
That's not an equivalent example.
And there are other example throughout history, starting with Emmett Till and going throughout
are you comparing this to Emmett Till?
You asked me.
No. Are you saying that this is equivalent to Emmett Till?
You asked me for an example.
So you're saying that it's equivalent.
Where if reversed?
Okay. I'm gonna let you finish.
I'm telling you. I'm giving you examples. What I'm telling you is that if the situation were reversed, we would have seen a very different investigation from law enforcement from the actual outset. Let me interject. We as a people, when it comes as a former prosecutor, because here's the thing: you're a former police officer, and that's fine. But when it comes to after arrests are made and how prosecutions are going, that's my space. That's my lane. So I'm going to speak from my lane. And what I can tell you is, we do not typically enjoy the benefit of the doubt when it comes to probable cause.
That's not true.
I'm telling you as a former prosecutor, I'm not going to tell you what it's like to be
arrest people and I deal with prosecutors.
I'm not going
to tell you what it is. I have to interview with the prosecutors every time there's an arrest.
Officer,
we have to go to trial.
He's not saying that you don't know. Hold on. He's not saying that you don't know, Officer Tatum. What he's saying is from his perspective as a prosecutor, this is what he's bringing up. Now, I don't blame Officer Tatum. I don't blame Officer Tatum for bringing up, when acting incredulous when he says you'd say Emmett Till. That's 1955. Al Sharpton brought up Medgar Evers at the funeral. That's 1963. So if Officer Tatum's going to look at it and say, that's what you're bringing up, I get where he's coming from in terms of the distance between then and now. But I also get where you're coming from, Charles Colman Jr., when you highlight, listen, from an historical perspective, we're talking about, we've seen things like this before. And those are just names that we know. There's a plethora of names that we may not have known that have transpired throughout history that have suffered some of these maladies. And we get that part too. Go ahead.
And that's what I was saying earlier, you guys, is the history aspect to this. I'm over with Officer Tatum, but I'm saying on this other hand with Charles, and like Sharpen, all these type of people, they're coming from a historical thing, from their own experiences. That's what I'm referring to. Why they're probably saying the stupid things they say is from experiences. But every case, you can't go based off experience. That's stupid. You can't. That's what Officer Tatum was saying. You can't go off of new experiences or new things, off of everything that you've been through, because every single person is different. It's not like you're not dealing with the same person. You're not dealing with the same person. You're dealing with new people. So in the new people's new situations. So to go off of, because of history and the experiences of your history, you can't do that when you're talking about these type of things. And that's what our Sharpen and all these people want to do. They want to go off the history and try to create a case off of history, off of past stuff with different people.
Go ahead, Officer Tatum, floor is yours.
But what I'm saying is that you cannot project that. It's unfair to project that. You can have it in your subconscious that there has been things that have been done wrong, but you got to treat these things fairly. You cannot go out and project that somehow the sheriff is a racist and he's not going to do right by these boys. That's not right. Let the investigation ensue. And then if you see impropriety in the investigation, then you can project that. But listen, they interviewed you just said they interviewed 60 people. They interviewed all these boys the day of. Like, what did they do wrong?
I did read your comments. It's so sad that 4th of July was actually a Black young man day. Yes, I read your comments. I was laughing and then you say you were being facetious. Yes, sir. Yes, Pastor Russell, we know that. Yes, got it. Yes. Oh man. Yes, read all 3 of your comments. Got it. Massa. Got it.
An autopsy. Officer Tatum, respectfully, what about those who would say the same or would ask the same question about you? Are you being fair? Because just like you have people out there that are elevating their level of suspicion and jumping to some sort of conclusion attached to guilt as it pertains to the death of Nolan Wells, you're coming across as somebody who's assuming these individuals that were in attendance with him were innocent because of your conversations with them, as opposed to not getting the full context the way Charles Colman Jr. just highlighted.
He looked I accept people saying that, but let me tell you that I saw proof. I'm not just taking somebody's account for it. And I'm not saying that nobody didn't kill Nolan. I'm telling you, the people that they put out on the internet and said these white boys were the only ones with him, and they're getting death threats. While I was out there, somebody sent the suspicious package to one of the boys' houses. They showing up at these boys' houses saying that they killed them. Go look on the internet and look at any these videos. They got the boy pictures up there saying they had something to do with his death. They're claiming they deleting text messages. All of this stuff is incredibly ridiculous. When I went out and I said, show me the proof then. Not just what you say, show me the proof. And these kids are showing proof. Their lawyers are showing proof that they had nothing to do with this. They have a Life 360 just like Nolan did. Their Life 360 showed that they were not on the island, or at least, you know, the young man that I interviewed, he wasn't even on the island. I saw his Life 360. So, I mean, these kids, they shouldn't have done these boys like this. They should let the investigation go and then make their accusations.
So you're highlighting specifically, you're not even saying, like you just said, you're not even saying that Nolan Wells, that some vile act, that he wasn't murdered. You're saying that these boys, those are the ones that are being unfairly scrutinized and villainized by this whole ordeal. That's what you're saying, Officer Tatum. Is that accurate?
Yes, Stephen A. There were black kids there who now getting threats online too for coming out and saying something. But nobody's saying, what did these black kids have anything to do with it? The young girl he was kicking it with, they don't have her name out there. Well, her name is Katie, but I'm not gonna say her full name. I don't want her to get doxxed. They not nobody talking about her. She said she was the last one. I mean, she at least mentioned that she was with him. The boy showed me text messages from her that she's saying that she was with him. Like, why ain't nobody coming at her?
I've seen, and see, this is where it gets dangerous, right? The importance in this moment is to focus on the integrity of the overall process. And when I say the overall process, I'm referring to the investigation, because I knew that the girl's name was Katie. I don't know her last name, and I knew it because there were people who I was seeing in the comment sections that I had on videos that I had done updating people about the case, who are asking the same questions that you have. People,
but Benjamin Crump isn't.
Please. So here's the thing, which is why when you're trying to, and at the end of the day, listen, you don't know what Benjamin Crump is doing as far as investigating a case. The same way that you've talked about, you know, with an investigation, there are certain things that you don't reveal. You don't know what that team of lawyers are doing with respect to trying to ascertain the facts.
That's fair.
And so
That's fair.
when it comes to, did they
fair.
answer you or did they not answer you?
Well, they answered us on the last one and refused to respond to us. I mean, they refused to engage with us.
They don't owe you, and they don't owe you that.
Well, which is fine. Well, don't act like you're trying to get to the bottom of something.
So again,
don't act like you're trying to get to the bottom of something.
Don't do the thing to them that you are accusing other people of doing.
He said he's trying to get to the bottom of it.
Don't make assumptions that
I'm not
for
assuming.
them. No, you are. You're like, well, they're not doing this, and they're trying to make
They're
this
not reaching out to the boys.
They have not spoken to you.
They haven't spoken to the boys.
Charles, in fairness, at least answer this question. If indeed it's to be found out that there's been no attempt by whether it's Sharpton or Benjamin Crump or anybody else to reach out to the actual boys who were supposed to be in attendance with Nolan Wells, as Officer Tatum just highlighted, do you feel that that's the right path that they should be taking if they're raising suspicions, calling for a more thorough and open investigation, etc., and they haven't made personal attempts to reach out to these young men themselves? Do you think that that would be the right thing to do?
I can't think
To ask Officer Tatum's question.
Sure, I can't imagine that legal team would look to bring a lawsuit without having attempted to at least try to get some investigative answers from these boys. Now, when in this process they do it is a different question, because at the end of the day, the more information you have, the more informed questions you can ask. And the chances are you're not going to get multiple bites at that apple. So from a strategic place, what I can tell you is that, yes, I would fully expect that at some point they would endeavor to reach out to these boys, but it may not be this point because they may be waiting for additional information so that they can actually ask better questions. They're not going to get multiple chances to do it. So when you do it, you want to make sure that you're doing it the best way you can. And the only way to do that is to have the information that you need in order to ask the best.
Strategically, that's brilliant. Honestly, I mean, how is it not? Strategically, that's brilliant. You get all the information you can because, like you said, you're only going to have one chance at this apple, because within their it sounds like they're viewing the boys obviously as the enemy. So if they're viewing the boys as the suspects, which it sounds like they are, according to Charles, and according to what's kind of being put out there, like he said, you're only going to have one bite at that apple. So you better come with everything and get as much information that you have in order to pin that down and take a good bite out of that apple. That makes sense strategically. It does. To me, it makes sense.
Questions.
Charles, they drugged these boys through the mother freaking mud. They put their faces online. Benjamin Crump shared this video or this picture of them in a swimming pool. That happened. That event was a week before July 4th. He didn't do no due diligence to check with anybody before he started putting this stuff out there. Then what he do is he go, I had people saying that the argument was Nolan Wells asking for his phone back.
I agree, Pat.
He didn't talk to Tristan, who I interviewed. Tristan said on NBC, that was me, or ABC, that was me. That was not Nolan. But Benjamin Crump still to this day haven't came out and said, we found out that it was another young man. He pushed this stuff on these boys and they getting death threats. That stuff is not right. Benjamin should be more responsible. But the reason
I'm not here to talk about Nolan Wells' lawyer. I'm here to talk about why Nolan Wells is dead.
But let's get to that. Let's get to the phones.
Go ahead.
The phones getting deleted. Because Al Sharpton came out there and said the mama had to go and search the phone down with GPS and Life 360. No, she didn't. The boys showed text messages, or the parents showed text messages of them communicating with his mom. She refused. And then they go and say they deleted. The boys say, the boys told me it could be not true or not. I don't know. They got to figure it out. They go, we didn't touch his phone. His phone went from the boat to the car with everybody else's phone. And when they came to get the phone, we got the phone out of the car and gave it to another young man's mom who came to get the other young man's phone. They said, we don't know Nolan's password. How are we getting his phone and delete anything? Now, why is them not coming on TV and saying there was no password or they had to get through his phone?
Let me ask you this question. Based on your investigation, I'm asking you this. I'm thinking of any parent that loses their child wants to get to the bottom of it. They don't care if the villain is white, black, or whatever. Their child is dead. They want the culprit. So when you see Al Sharpton eulogizing and announcing that there's a $100,000 reward, when you see that Tyler Perry agreed to pay for the funeral and put up half of the reward, when you see guys like Spike Lee and Terrell Owens in attendance, and Terrell Owens, I think, dedicated $25,000, if I remember correctly, according to the reports that I've read, and you see Benjamin Crump in attendance, and you're talking about civil rights lawyers being in attendance, like you just pointed out. My question to you, Officer Tatum, and Charles, you can follow up based on the answer that he provides. My question to you is, why do you think the parents decided to go that route, Officer Tatum, based on your investigation in terms of allowing all of those folks to be so intimately involved in this situation? What are your thoughts about that? What comes to your mind, particularly based on your investigation, talking to the actual parties supposedly involved?
There's two thoughts that come to my mind. One is that Al Sharpton and Benjamin Crump are manipulating this family's trauma in order for them to make a crap ton of money. That's one. The second one is the parents trying to cash in on this because, and this is the reason why I say this. Why did Nolan Wells' mama say, I don't know these kids? These boys showed me pictures and video and texted them staying over his house, or at least the young boy Tristan, staying over his house multiple times. She went to school with one of the other boys' mama, graduated high school with her. They showed me the yearbook. Why is she saying this? Why Al Sharpton don't know this boy? Why is he eulogizing him at his funeral? Ain't never met Nolan a day in his life. You know, why are they saying we're going to give $100,000 to somebody who give us information to lead to an arrest? What if Nolan drowned? They don't care about him drowning. Nope. You know, and then also, why we don't do this for any other young men who have lost their lives at the hands of other people other than white people? Why are we coming together?
Charles, I'm going to give you the floor. Charles, I'm going to give you the floor in a second. But Officer Tatum, it's one thing I want to make sure that I give you an opportunity to clarify, because it's one thing to feel what you feel about Benjamin Crump, Reverend Al Sharpton, etc. It's another thing entirely to lump the parents who just lost their child. But I know it's talking about they're trying to profit.
I know it's sensitive.
You sure you want to say that? Is what I'm saying. You sure you want to say that?
Let me be clear about this. You asked me what my thoughts were. I didn't say that that was facts. I just said these are my thoughts based on a few factors, right?
Okay.
There ain't no reason for Al Sharpton to be doing that boy's eulogy when Al never knew him.
That's not even your call or your business.
But what I'm saying is that if I die, my daddy, if I die,
that's you. Respect the choices that family made.
Let him speak.
If I get killed,
that family had a choice.
Why?
And who is that? Why is that? They don't have to answer to you. That's not even.
They don't. But I have an opinion.
That's that family. I don't even understand.
I don't know
why that family chose to eulogize their fallen son.
What is
any of your business to have any commentary about?
Well, you can't tell me that because it don't seem normal. It don't seem normal to me.
Anyone they wanted to.
It don't seem normal. It don't seem normal to me for a man that don't even preach sermons to do a eulogy for a boy that he didn't know.
Okay, we're going off the rails, guys. We're going off the rails. We're going off the rails because Charles, I know you got to get ready to go. We're running out of time, so I'm just going to give this last question to both of y'all. Officer Tatum, I'm going to give you the word, and then Charles Colman, I'm going to give you the last word. What are your expectations of what is going to come of this when all is said and done, based on the evidence that we know? Charles, Officer Tatum, I'll go with you first. Charles, I'll give you the last word.
and I'll try to make this succinct. I think we're going to find that the law enforcement agency did a fair investigation, that they did things right all the way through the process, and that none of this will lead to any of what Al Sharpton them said it was and alluded that it was, and they will get to the bottom of what happened to Nolan, and it will be clean, it will be professional, and it will be the same result without the interference with activists and people out here hoodwinking. I think that they're going to find out what happened to Nolan, and it's not going to be Al Sharpton. It's not going to be Benjamin Crump. It's going to be the law enforcement agencies that go out and do this stuff every single day, that does an investigation, that's going to be forensically looked through the cell phone, that's going to interview 60 people and find out what happened to Nolan. And they're going to be able to say, was it somebody that did something nefarious to Nolan? They're going to be prosecuted. If Nolan drowned, they're going to let the family know he drowned. That's going to be the totality of this investigation, which didn't have nothing to do with this race stuff.
Right. Okay. So, and right. So what? This is a problem. And then now it's weird. It makes a lot of sense now. Because they're jumping to it as they're almost, and it appears that they're jumping to this as a shooting sort of incident or a race, like he said, a race thing. And so they're jumping to this as one of these boys okay, forget it. Even if it's not one of these boys, they're jumping to this as he was killed by a person. That's what Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton are jumping to it. Who's a person? A white person. So that's what they're doing. BT is saying the police are going to find out who did it or what happened, not who did it or what happened, whether it's a person or whether it was something on his own. It's not going to be lawyers because we don't know at this point how it happened. So we're going to investigate it because Al Sharpton and Benjamin Crump are not going to be investigating. They're not investigators. They're lawyers. So and so that's why he's saying, why'd you bring in a civil rights lawyer to make it about race when we're not even at that point yet? Now, if we get to that point, then fine. But you're not even at a point about a civil that somebody killed him. So let the law enforcement do their job, find out what happened. Nobody's been arrested, so why are you even doing that? So everything that BT is saying is 100% spot on. Why are you even going after these boys and putting them on the internet? Why? Nobody's been arrested. So why are you going out? Why are you going at it like that? Why are you going at it trying to target people? Nobody's been arrested. The police haven't arrested no boys, no girl, no black boy, no white boy. So why are you going after people? Why are you that is that's not cool.
It had nothing to do with these activists coming out and making money on the death of another black boy.
Charles, I'll give you the last word because I know you got to go.
Sure. Thank you, Stephen A. I don't necessarily know what will come of the case. I am and continue to be invested in the integrity of the process, number one, so that it sets a precedent of getting to the facts and having objective information disseminated to the public in a way that's honest, truthful, and transparent. What I will say is that it's disappointing to sit and listen to Brandon talk about the same type of aspersions being cast on Benjamin Crump, on Al Sharpton, in the same way that they are advocating for answers for Nolan Wells, that he has railed against the same type of characterizations going in reverse. A split mirror image of the type of vitriol that you are decrying against the survivors in this instance being spewed at Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton. And I don't necessarily think that gets us anywhere, and it's not productive when you're talking about getting to the bottom of this and understanding what actually happened to Nolan Wells. So for me, I hope that the dialogue can be more tempered, where we're not trying to characterize people in either direction, but we're trying to insist on getting to the bottom of things and looking for the facts.
Spirited discussion, that's what it's all about. Two opposite points of view, but I appreciate both of y'all time. I know y'all got a lot more to say, but I know, Charles, at least in your case, you got to get on out of here. Officer Tatum, I could tell you chomping at the bit. I got a lot more to say. You know you're always welcome back on the show. I really appreciate both of y'all taking time out of your busy schedule. I hope this was productive. I think it was a productive conversation, regardless of the disagreements and where we are right now. Still searching for the facts to really, really get to the bottom of what happened to Nolan Wells. But I thank y'all both so much, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen A. Thanks, Charles.
Right. Wow.
All right,
take care, Brandon.
Wow.
He just said wow, too.
That was a riveting conversation, to say the least. Officer Tatum went to Mississippi, said he spoken to several of the people in attendance, and is appalled by folks jumping to a conclusion that this was a race issue, and clearly questioned why was Al Sharpton there giving the eulogy? Why is Benjamin Crump, a civil rights attorney, involved if indeed this was a criminal case? Charles Colman Jr., the legal mind on this panel, clearly stated that Officer Tatum doesn't know specifically why they're involved, doesn't know specifically who they've spoken to, who they've attempted to reach out to, or whether or not their investigation is indeed finished, and had a problem with the narrative that he felt Officer Tatum was trying to create. No matter what way you slice it, here's the bottom line. An 18-year-old kid is dead, and inexplicably so. And somehow, some way, we need to get to the bottom of it. I find it very, very hard to believe that he just drowned. I find it very, very hard to believe that there was no foul play involved. Even Officer Tatum himself said there may indeed have been foul play involved. He was just challenging whether or not it was the three white kids that people say were with Nolan Wells all by their lonesome, when in fact, according to Officer Tatum, there were other people there, some of whom happened to be black. And he was making the case, who's to say that those were the only people involved? Who was to say that they're not innocent after all, and it was somebody else who committed a vile act that led to Nolan Wells being deceased, his funeral having taken place just a few days ago? There is no doubt that regardless of what we want to say, the fact that Tyler Perry is involved and paid for the funeral, the fact that Spike Lee and Terrell Owens were in attendance, the fact that Benjamin Crump, a civil rights attorney, is representing the family, and Al Sharpton is giving the funeral. Let's not act like we don't know that this is being turned into a civil rights case. I don't know whether that's wrong or not, because to be quite honest with you, black kid is dead after going out with white dudes. Yeah, I got a problem with that. That picture don't look right, particularly in the state of Mississippi. I'm just going to keep it a buck and call it like that. The flip side to it is that if Officer Tatum is correct, and we have no reason at this particular moment in time to believe otherwise, if there were other people that were there, if there were 60 people on an island, if Nolan Wells was fraternizing with an abundance of other people, ended up staying behind of his own volition, that would point to an absence of guilt needing to be directed in the direction of the three white kids he's believed to have been in attendance with and went to the island with. So all of that stuff comes into play. We don't know. Here's the one thing that we do need to agree upon. Every exhaustive measure must be taken to get to the bottom of this, to find out why Nolan Wells is no longer with us. That much is true. Whereas we can't definitively point guilt in the direction of any specific individual at this time, we can simply say, this seems very fishy, very shady. Something happened to this kid. Let's find out what the hell happened to this kid. Let's get to the bottom of it. Terrell Owens is right about that. Spike Lee is right about that. Tyler Perry is right about that. Benjamin Crump is right about that. Charles F. Colman Jr. is right about that. And I didn't hear Officer Tatum saying we should shut down an investigation and we shouldn't put forth a strenuous effort to find out about it. So everybody seems in agreement. Let's push forward with an investigation. Let's find out what the hell happened. Let's not designate this an accident and be gone and have no explanation whatsoever as to what happened to Nolan Wells. That is unacceptable in the year 2026. You're 18 years old, in good health, accustomed to being at home with your family. Your family says they've taught you to never depart from a group of people. And the fact that you ended up apparently doing so seems to be at odds with his upbringing, according to what his parents say. I'm not going to accuse parents who just lost their child of any kind of shady intent whatsoever. That's cruel. I'm not going to do that. But we also need to recognize we got to get to the bottom of this. We got to find out what happened. Come hell or high water. Exhaust every means and every measure. Exhausting ourselves and put whatever resources we need to put behind everything to get to the bottom of this. Because something like that simply cannot happen. And for those who are sensitive and feel like, hey, you know, the state of Mississippi is being given a bad rap just because it happened there at that locale, shouldn't mean blah, blah, blah. No, that's not how it goes. Sometimes history comes back to haunt you, and a level of guilt is attached. And if not guilt, at the very least, suspicion and skepticism. Because so much time was spent historically favoring one race of people over others. That's what happens, which is why you should do everything you can to make sure that that's not something that ever exists when it pertains to you and the community you come from. But it is what it is. That's where we are. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's find out what happened. I hope today's riveting conversation that you just witnessed took a step in that direction. It did for me. I hope the same for all of you watching. That's it for this special edition of Straight Shooter, courtesy of Stephen A. Smith and my Straight Shooter YouTube channel. Please continue to support the show. Please continue to click that button, that like button. Show me the love, and I'm going to give it right back by giving you as much content, as much riveting content as I possibly can.
I like Stephen's
next
shows.
time,
I think he's very good at what he does. That last piece that he did say, I do agree with that. And I think that's it's not the deciding factor by no means, but it is something I think it's something to be considered, or at least there in the bucket, a piece that's in the bucket. And I think for anything remotely close to race regarding this type of thing, which unfortunately it's part of it. It's stupid, but it's part. But the only legitimate thing I can say in regards to the race thing is simply the fact of, like what he said, is the history of Mississippi, of that region, that area. And I think it was on Facebook. There was a question that was asked about Portland, if it was safe. And it made me think. And in my years of traveling, the places I've been to, I mean, I kind of have I have some experience in cities. And so the question was asked, is Portland safe? And I was like, let me think about that, because I've been places. Is Portland safe? And I said, yes. And people laugh at it. Portland ain't safe. Okay. But in perspective, in comparison to other places, Portland is safe. And that's coming from me, from my perspective and what I've experienced or what I feel the atmosphere in other places. Is Portland a safe place? Well, yes, in comparison to cities that the size of Portland, I 100% can say yes, Portland is safe in comparison to cities of that magnitude or bigger. Other cities that are that size or bigger, Portland is safe, and those places are more scarier, you're more at risk and things like that. So, and with that said, around the nation, atmospheres, cultures, environments are all different. LA's West Coast, but LA does not have the same feel as the East Coast. LA does not have the same exact feel as New York City. It doesn't have the same exact feel as Washington, D.C. And to be honest with you, there's parts of Washington, D.C. I feel more afraid. No, I don't want to use the word afraid, but I feel less safe in Washington, D.C. than I do in L.A., in the rough parts of L.A. I feel more unsafe in parts of D.C. than I feel in L.A., in the bad, quote unquote, bad parts of LA. So all these type of things and so I guess that's what I'm trying to say when it comes down to any validity when it comes to this race thing, it would be only that part of it because of the location of where this took place at, meaning Mississippi. And if you want to say, here we go with the history, the reputation of of what Mississippi has been throughout years. Yes, it's not as bad as it once was. Is that spirit, is it still there? That's what I'd say. So to give Crump, Sharpton, anybody else any validation, any sort of agreement, that's the only place I could agree with and say yes. That could make you go, all right, you got a point there. Outside of that, I don't know. But if you have the point there, then I guess you do push it forward, say, well, he was with white kids. And I'm like Seven Lilies. I have a personal problem. I don't like to do the whole black boy, black guy, white guy type of thing. Unfortunately, that's sometimes how we have to describe things in life, unfortunately. But I don't like it. I don't like to name, to talk about things like that, or Asian boy or the Mexican boy. Or and nowadays you have to be so politically correct. Well, I'm not Mexican. I'm Latino. I'm whatever. So I do hate that type of stuff. But it's kind of like one of those things you have to say. So yeah, it's crazy, but it's going to be interesting. I don't even want to say it's a case. Is it a case? I mean, it is a case, but it's not a case of somebody that, like I said, nobody's been arrested yet. So it's not a case that's going to court. It's not a case that's going to trial. It's not a case like that. The case is trying to find out what happened. Yeah. There's a case number for it because we need to figure out what happened. But it's not a case as in somebody killed the dude like that we know of as of yet, right? As we know of yet. So, and is it a case? I don't even know if it's a case. Is it a case? Or is it it's an investigation. It's not I don't even think it's a case yet. It's an investigation. So there's that. Trump cleaned up recently though, but it was one of the worst for sure. Yes. Yeah. Especially up by the arena and all that jazz up that way. Yeah. Yep. Capital One Arena, all up that way. But, let me see something. I don't know. Yeah, it's an investigation. I don't even think it's a case yet. Nolan Wells. I think it's just an investigation. It's not even a case yet. So it's not a case. It's an investigation. So there's that. Anywho. You guys, please. I know some people probably came in and left, but if you're still in the chat and if you guys haven't, please hit the like button. Please hit the thumbs up button. And if you guys like the shows, you guys like this stuff, you guys like what I do, you guys like me out on the streets, boots on the ground, please consider donating. I got the donation links pinned on Facebook and YouTube. They're scrolling at the bottom of the screen in the ticker. PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, Give, Send, Go. Everything is the BC Preacher. Super chats are always on in YouTube. Stars on Facebook. Vicky, I did see that you said that you did some stars. Thank you very much. There's Rumble Rants on Rumble as well. That's why should not be lawyers yet. And that's the thing. And this is obviously what I'm about to say is for us. For us, we are spectators. It's kind of like watching. It's kind of like watching a game. Or even how about scripted wrestling? It's like watching scripted wrestling where we're watching this and we're making our predictions, and the story's already told over here. Although the story with these type of things aren't really told over here. I mean, they are, because there's actually stuff that really happened, but we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know what's actually going on with investigations, with who's talking to who, and things like that. So we're over here kind of in the dark while they're like 100 miles ahead of us, and they can't say nothing really so much on social media. And we're over here doing what we do, which is being, I don't want to say gossiping. We're not really gossiping. We're doing our own quote unquote investigations and being lawyers, right? Unexperienced lawyers. And we're giving our opinions, our thoughts, our 2 cents. And we're like, this is what we think. This is what happened. It has to be. And we're trying to, and it's fun, right? We like it because we're invested. But we don't have the full scope of things like they do. And I'm saying they, meaning everybody involved. Like they have more information than we have. They have more information than we have. Bottom line. So I'm more interested in what the female has to say. Yes, that will be, whenever that happens, that'll be good. I'm going to reluctantly hit the thumbs up even after I went back and watched yesterday's stream. I have objections. Objection, Your Honor, objection. Oh, I'm sorry, Seven Lilies. I had to poke at you a little bit this morning on that. I guess it was last night, but I had to let you know that, hey, I was guilty of something. I have it. Well, thank you for hitting the thumbs up, though. Thank you. I knew you'd have objectives. That's why I was like, I gotta tell Seven Lilies. I knew you'd have objections. So, all right, you guys. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be on tomorrow morning or during the day. I don't think that the trial is going to be broadcasted tomorrow because they're going on a field trip. They're going to, I don't know where they're going. And I'm talking about the trial of Lindsay Clancy, the mother accused of taking out her children and then attempting to take out herself. It sounds like they're meeting in the morning and then getting on a bus and going out on the field trip. So I don't think that's going to be live. So I probably won't go live tomorrow. I'll probably monitor it, but I don't think it's going to be worth me going live and then like a half hour later they just turn it off. So probably be off during the day tomorrow, and then tomorrow night, since it is Friday night, a little bit longer. And then this weekend is SummerSlam weekend in Minneapolis. Yes, and by the way, I saw what Reverend Gunn said. Minneapolis is rough. I feel more safer in Portland than Minneapolis. Yes, I do. I don't. But the thing, and when I say I feel more safer, I don't get nervous to go to cities and see new things. But I'm very in tune to environments. Okay, I can feel environments. I get the vibe of different environments. So that's what I mean. It's not like I'm afraid to go. Not afraid, but I can definitely I'm in tune. So yes, Minneapolis is I would say worse than Portland. In areas. I didn't really see a lot of homelessness in Minneapolis. Not to say it's not there, but I didn't see any really in comparison to Portland. So there's that. So that's a different vibe. And I'm sure they do have, I'm sure it is there, but maybe it's not there because it's so cold. Maybe it's not there. Yeah. Anywho. So tomorrow night, what I'm going to be playing is a debate. I think it's going to be a good debate. Dinesh and that Andrew Wilson debate. Dinesh and Andrew Wilson. And it's like 2 hours. So that's why I was like, I'll do it tomorrow night. So I'll do that tomorrow night. You guys will watch that. So next time you come, I give you up and close to her. Okay. Why are you going? I'm not going to Minneapolis. I said SummerSlam is in Minneapolis this weekend, which I'd love to go. I mean, if you guys want to purchase me tickets for SummerSlam in Minneapolis, I'll freely accept it. I just need the airfare to get there. Everything else will be covered. So if somebody wants to bless me with SummerSlam 2-night tickets for Saturday and Sunday in Minneapolis, holler at your boy. I need airfare as well. So that's what I was talking about, one day at a time. So, all right, you guys, let me get out of here. Again, please hit the like button. Hit the like. Appreciate you, y'all. Y'all have a blessed night. God bless. I love y'all. Laters.
Yeah. On American streets. Yeah. On American streets. Yeah. Yeah. On American streets. On American streets.
Truth in the light, get a whole world see. Faith front deep, where brave stand free. From quiet prayer to the place we meet. Quincy Franklin, bring truth on American streets. BCP preachers still spinning them beats. From BJJ's now preaching in the streets. Fight for God and the freedom we keep. Still stand strong on American streets. Truth, let the truth ring out. Faith, that's what we about. See both sides, but we stand on truth. Call this nation back to its roots.
At its father's knee, where the roots run deep.
Freedom riders stood tall in the heat.
Now the same fire in his heartbeat.
Carry that truth on American streets. In DC downs with the Texas heat. Minnesota cold, the Oregon trees. Live in the streets where the people meet. Grow nationwide on American streets. Truth, let the truth ring out. Faith, that's what we about. See both sides, but we stand on truth. Call this nation back to its roots. On American streets. On American streets. Thankful for family standing beside. Mods and supporters along for the ride. Sponsors and friends who keep it alive. Truth in the word is how we survive. Then Peter said unto them, repent and be baptized, every one of you, in the name of Jesus Christ, for the for remission of sins, and ye shall receive the gift of the Holy Ghost on American streets. 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 On American streets.